Hello, I'm RJ City, and you are listening to the MonsterCast. You're going to talk about Bela Lugosi. They're going to talk about Lon Chaney Jr. be so sad, holding his hat, saying, "Please put me in this room and don't unlock the door." And you can't do any better than the Dahl brothers. Jack and Ryan, they're brothers, but they're also bros. What? Pardon? Wrestling. Well, who the hell wants to talk about wrestling? These are horror movies. It's a deep genre. It's a smart genre. Fantastic actors. Fantastic cinematography. Wrestling is just sweating and fireworks and bouncy ropes. There's nothing. How can you talk about that every week? All right. Let's see them try. Take it away, you crazy dolls.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful here. You're watching the MonsterCast with Jack and Ryan. A big shout out to those fellas. Good people. Check them out.
Jake and Brian. Brandon Cutler here from AEW, and I hope you guys have an awesome podcast with the MonsterCast. What was that? Your name is Jack and Ryan? Shut up, Jack and Ryan.
Wrestling podcast? How fucking original.
I mean, you're welcome.
Here's your host of the MonsterCast, the Straight Edge Monster Jack and Ryan.
Hello everybody, welcome to the MonsterCast review of Ring of Honor SuperCard of Honor. Ryan is right there. I'm Jack, the Straight Edge Monster, and Ryan went undefeated in predictions for Ring of Honor to start off this weekend of wrestling. Undefeated, dude.
The Ring of Honor understander, baby.
I lost one, and that's because he got the Lucha Brothers right. I got Top Flight wrong in that same match. That's how he did that. But I gave this show an A overall for the weekend. An A. Thought it was a great show. Thought it could have been better than what it ended up being. I thought it was going to be A++++. Like, we were going to talk about this as one of the best shows of the year. And it was solid. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's an A. But when you're going against Revolution and fucking Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
those are big shoes to fill, especially for a Ring of Honor show. But let's start off with my first point. Was happy to see Nigel McGuinness on commentary. That was cool. But I wish he wasn't playing his NXT heel role. Hopefully he slowly comes out of that. I think he was still stuck in that way.
I just don't like heel commentators. I think they're boring.
I think he was trying a little too hard to be a certain thing that he didn't have to be anymore.
It was very Corey Graves. I wasn't a fan.
Vikingo and Commander started out the show, which was a surprise to me. I was like, oh shit, here we fucking go out the gate. It was a great match, don't get me wrong, but because I'm talking about the issues I have with these matches and whatever, I will say that it had a lot more counters than I thought it would. 70% of the match felt like it was them not hitting stuff instead of hitting stuff. So I knew there would be plenty of counters, don't get me wrong, but it just felt like there was too many. Other than that, when they finally started fucking getting going, yeah, it was a crazy match like we all thought. I just wish that part of the match lasted longer than the counter part of the match. It's kind of like the reverse version of Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam, right? So they had the first minute or two is straight counters, but then they just start hitting each other with everything because they're too fucking tired to counter shit, or they pull out something new that they're not used to. This one felt like the opposite. It was 8 minutes of counters and then 2 minutes of actually hitting shit. So that was the only nitpick I had with it, but I did think they had some crazy shit in that match.
Yeah. I mean, I watch enough AAA to where the counter thing isn't unique to this match. I mean, they do that a lot in AAA. And I think part of that too is that everybody has seen a lot of those aerial spots so many times that the implication is that, you know, wrestlers who do a lot of them know each other well enough to avoid them or whatever. So that didn't bother me that much. I thought it was a really good match. I was pretty surprised that table didn't break on the 630. That was
that shit was brutal.
I don't know how the fuck it didn't break. That was crazy.
You jumped too far, clearly.
Well, the thing that was annoying was the announcer's explanation of it was like, oh yeah, it hurts more because it didn't break. And it's like, well, then why the fuck would you ever use a table? He kind of buried using tables.
I mean, it's true, though. It definitely hurts more when it doesn't break.
I know, but he shouldn't be saying that.
I don't care if he says it or not. It's true. I said it. I told everybody when we were watching, I was like, oh shit, that hurt fucking way more. And then they said it on commentary. I was like, I don't have a problem with them saying it.
I mean, we all understand the physics of it, right? You're transferring.
I mean, it has the potential to hurt more if it breaks because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen, as we've seen. You can definitely get fucked up by something else.
The idea of it is that the force transfers into it and goes into the break. But
see, I don't think the fans had that reaction though. I think the fans knew that it hurt more too because they all audibly gasped when it didn't break. And it's like, oh shit, that fucking hurt. So I think the fans in attendance, they know enough to know. So I don't think it was that big of a deal. It wasn't like Ring of Honor was broadcast to the entire world.
I just think from a commentary kayfabe kind of point of view, you're burying everyone that uses tables. If you straight up say, yeah, well, they use tables because it makes it hurt less when they go through a table.
Okay, but do you want them to? Okay, what do you want to do? Ignore the entire spot altogether? Because guess what? If they say, "Oh goddamn, the table didn't break," then that's gonna make it look like the move shouldn't have fucking hurt at all, and the commander should get right the fuck up.
No, I just don't think you mention it all.
You just don't call the spot? Act like it didn't exist?
You don't call that the table didn't break, or don't try to rationalize how much it did or didn't hurt because it didn't. You're just like, oh, he hit him. Oh, the table didn't break. He's going back into the ring. Like, you don't have to do like a whole.
Yeah, but he didn't try to re-break the table though. If he would have tried to re-break the table, that would have been fine. No, that's not, I don't agree with that at all.
I just think not acknowledging it works better sometimes.
You can't just not acknowledge a 630 on top of a table that didn't.
No. You can still call the 630. You just don't have to say anything about whether or not the table did or didn't break.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that one. Athena versus Yuka Sakazaki was next, and I thought it was really fucking good.
Was it next? I thought that the
embassy match. I'm not
embassy
talking
match.
I'm not talking about the embassy match. Nothing happened that I care about in the embassy match. It was a typical 6-man tag. It wasn't worth me. I didn't write anything down. The coolest part of it was Brian Cage had a green mohawk. That was the coolest part of it to me. It was a typical embassy 6-man tag. I was surprised that the embassy still won because of all the reports about Brian Cage contract being up and WWE was talking to him and stuff. I thought this would be their chance to get the titles off of him just in case or whatever. But I'm kind of glad because then they came out with the new embassy T-shirt too. So maybe he's staying around. Hopefully, so I'm cool with that. But and the right team won obviously too because this was the easiest one for us to pick. I believe was the embassy match.
Well, the other team was so thrown together. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I know Blake Christian's got the big ROH following and stuff, but AR Fox is meant to be with Top Flight, which obviously is going to be on hold for a little bit now too, which we'll talk about a little bit. And Metalik is a great wrestler, but he didn't really fit into the whole thing. So yeah, there was no question about who was going to win that for sure.
Anyway, back to Athena versus Yuka. I think they could have gone either way, but with Yuka likely headed back to Japan and TJPW, Athena retaining just felt right. But I do believe that match was fucking great. I thought it was really good. Easily 4. I don't know about 4 point something. I would have to watch it more than once, but off the top of my head, it's definitely in the 4s. I thought it was really good.
I think this sets up a rematch where Yuka can lean more into like the dark Yuka stuff that she does over in TJPW. So I was kind of fine with her not winning here, as long as it's setting up something in the future or setting up a character shift for her over in the States where people can sort of see that other side of her. I thought it was a really good match though.
Samoa Joe beating Mark Briscoe was obviously the right call. We
Sometimes
both picked
like
Joe.
that.
It made the most sense as we both picked him, but I will say that I was a little nervous when they showed the family in the front row. I was like, oh shit, guy, that might not be happening.
That's the same as the Make-A-Wish kids, bro. Said fuck them kids. I wasn't surprised with the outcome. Obviously, we both picked Joe. And, I picked every match correctly. Do you want to reiterate that? So I wasn't surprised with the outcome. But you could tell it deflated the crowd a little bit. Like, I think everybody expected Briscoe to win for some reason.
They made up for it later when he came back out with the Lucha Brothers, though.
Yeah.
And FTR, which we'll talk about in a second.
He had Joe's chest looking fucking raw, though.
Yeah, oh no, it looked bad. Oof. And you can see the sweat flying off of him, too. We were telling the story to our friends about when we went to the Louder Than Life Festival in 2015, and it was Corbin versus Samoa Joe, and we were in the front row, and he throws Joe into us, and sweat just went fucking all over us, like we just got fucking sprayed with a fucking garden hose, dude. I was like, no, trust me, we've been there, guy. I was like, that's legit. He's always been like that. Every time he got
Sweaty
chopped,
boy.
you could fucking just see shit coming off him like it was a fucking Rocky movie.
He's a sweaty boy. Yeah, I thought it was a really good match, but it was 100% the right call. And you know what? I like the ending of having Joe shake his hand and all that. It doesn't pull any weird heel shit. It's just straight up like, look, it's Ring of Honor. I respect you. I respect you coming for it. You did a lot better than you have in your previous matches. You've clearly grown a lot, but you're still just not ready for this yet. Gives Mark a lot to do going forward. Doesn't stymie him in like this weird position where it just seems like they gave him something, which I think sucks. As booking, and I think you would get a lot of backlash for that. Joe's still pretty much on top of his game. He's a very credible champion right now, and this was 100% the right call. That's why we both picked it. Great match, though.
All right, so what did you think of the next one? Garcia versus Shibata. Thank
No.
you for
Nope.
not taking another break in what?
It was Garcia versus Tanahashi.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking Yuta. That's the one I actually really liked. Okay, Garcia versus Tanahashi. Now, the part I do like about this one is Garcia impersonating Nakamura. That was fucking gold. I thought that was fantastic.
It's in leather pants, baby. Just imbues you with the power.
But he made Tanahashi made too much sense though, because like I said on the prediction show, he lost to Moxley at Forbidden Door. He has to get the W back, just because of the New Japan, not because of 50-50 booking necessarily, but just because of the Forbidden Door aspect of AEW working with New Japan. And you're not losing, the ace is not losing to Daniel Garcia at this point in his career.
Yeah. Which is kind of a funny thing to say because Garcia's obviously gone over Danielson and some other people. But it's different when New Japan has a say in the booking than it is when it's just Bryan Danielson saying, yeah, I want to put a young guy over, that'd be cool. So yeah, even though he does have some big wins, I don't think it's a surprise that Tanahashi went over here. Pretty weird to see him without teeth in. That's interesting.
Ladder match, we gotta talk about it. Obviously, it was absolutely the craziest match of the night. I don't think that was a doubt in anybody's mind going in. Obviously, Commander and Vikino had the closest shot. But when you got ladders involved and how many people involved and their talents that are involved, it was like, no, this is going to be fucking nuts. And we had made the joke, and luckily that didn't happen, but something did happen. I was like, we made the joke, like, man, I hope the ladder match doesn't start off first because I don't want anybody to end up fucking dying. Because look at the people that are involved and what they are willing to do. And then I really wanted to see Commander versus fucking Vikino. So I was like, if somebody dies, they're going to cut the fucking show off. But we didn't. Luckily, we had no deaths. But we did get a gruesome injury to some people. I'm not queasy, so I watched it from multiple angles. Actually, I went online and looked up other angles of it. So, I mean, it doesn't
I saw the
bother me.
side angle of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with Sid fucking jumping off the top rope. I mean, look, come on. Nothing's going to look worse
Pretty
than
similar
that.
injury, yeah.
Yeah, nothing's going to really look worse than that to me. Anyway, Lucha Bros winning, of course, gave Ryan the undefeated prediction record for the show. I still disagree with it because I don't think Lucha Bros need to be on fucking Ring of Honor at all. I still think I don't like that, personally. I don't really care. It's not like I'm going to boycott Ring of Honor or AEW in general, but if it's me, Lucha Bros is not, they don't need titles in Ring of Honor. Put them, fucking have them on AEW like they should be, and let's fucking go.
So here's why I'm okay with it. They have to do this fucking Guns FTR thing until it plays out, and I'm pretty sure Mark Briscoe wanted them to have it. So, I'm fine with it.
That's not enough reasons for me.
is wrong.
Your tag team division is big enough that you don't have to be involved in the FTR gun stuff anyway.
Nobody's saying they won't be on fucking AEW still. I'm just saying
But
they
I
don't need to
still
be
like
AEW
it though.
champions.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't want. When Ring of Honor started doing the weekly show, I don't really want Ring of Honor and AEW blended as much as it was before.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they have to be seen as NXT either. It can still be seen as its own separate thing. That's fine with me. It's just I don't want them as blended as they were before when you didn't have a weekly show, which made sense to blend it. Now you have the weekly show. I don't need it blended that much anymore.
I will say that I think on the prediction show I said I'd be fine with pretty much any team winning except for the Kingdom.
Yeah, and the Kingdom showed out.
The Kingdom was fucking great in this match.
Yeah,
By the end of that
my
match-
favorite move of the entire match was the fucking flying Doomsday device. Was fucking
the
insane.
suicide dive Doomsday device. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, by the end of the match, I was like, you know what? I'm actually fine if they win too, because they did a really good job in that match. I was very impressed with them.
It kind of hurt me in the feels seeing Taven breakdown too when he was hugging Mark Briscoe after the match. When Mark Briscoe came out and gave the titles to the Lucha Bros and then was hugging everybody that was involved in Ring of Honor or whatever. Yeah, that kind of fucked me up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
They did have a lot of matches.
All right, so they were really good friends too, apparently. Okay, now we get to the Shibata stuff. Shibata and Wheeler Yuta. That's how closely those two careers are going to be fucking seen going forward. By the way, Yuta and Daniel Garcia, where I literally got the matches mixed up. But
they've been close for a while, right?
Shibata versus Yuta. Shibata winning surprised a lot of people, but not us. We both picked Shibata, and rightfully so. It's cool to see him win. And it makes future matches a little bit more uncertain when a Japanese star comes over to go against a Ring of Honor or an AEW star. I don't like it when New Japan comes over and they just fucking take all the L's. Get them some wins. Get them some title wins. That's cool with me. I'm very okay with that. So I think this was actually needed in some aspects because you had the Tanahashi losing at Forbidden Door. You have Jun Akiyama losing to Eddie Kingston. You've got, like, when they come over, Suzuki losing to Moxley, Nagata losing to Moxley, Kojima losing to Moxley. That's
Moxley though.
I don't care. A lot of times when they come over, they don't need to fucking just lose. I don't give a fuck. If it's a high profile match, they need to have a couple of wins, even if they're not going to have the titles for that long. I don't care. I think a perfect example of that is the Pure title and the international titles. I think those would be perfect examples of, hey, you guys can come over, and if you're not going to be around for that long to tell a lot of stories or anything, yeah, we can't give you a world title run, but dude, we got this international title that's just as fucking cool. We've got this Pure title in Ring of Honor, which is just as cool. I'm perfectly okay with that, or the TV title in Ring of Honor too, honestly.
I mean, if they're letting Kenny have the U.S. IWGP US title, so yeah, it just makes sense to do some of this back and forth for sure.
All right, so yeah, I mean, what did you think of the match though? Did you think it was pretty good?
I thought the story of the match was really good. It was essentially Yuta's good. Yuta is a little overconfident and thought that he was better than he is and called out somebody that is on a different fucking level, and he couldn't do shit to him the whole match. Everything he did, he either got no-sold or he immediately came back from it. It was just like, fuck you. The chop spots, I'm not a huge fan of no-selling, but I think it really worked here because the whole point of this match is that Shibata comes into a challenge from somebody who has bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. He got a little bit into his head thinking, I'm BCC, I'm a champion, I've beaten some really good competition, whatever, and doesn't understand that Shibata's on the Moxley level and not on the Yuta level. And so he comes in and he starts like hitting him with his best stuff, and Shibata's just fucking standing there, like staring him down. Eventually beats the shit out of him, wins the match. I was surprised, knowing that Moxley was there, that Moxley didn't come out after the match to set up something between them, because I think that's probably something he's interested in. I can't imagine he wouldn't be.
If Moxley came out, he would have been coming out to fucking slap the shit out of Yuta, if anything.
Yeah, probably. But they could have at least had a stare down, too, set up something. But yeah, I thought the whole way that they told this story was great, because it sets up Yuta for an arc where he's like, oh fuck, like I thought I was the guy and I'm not the fucking guy. This is the fall, his pride, his fall, and now he's gonna be on his arc back up, doing whatever, training, getting even more serious, however they want to do it, and basically learning like I'm not the fucking guy yet. I'm under the tutelage of some of the guys, but I am not the guy. And now I fought a guy who is the guy, and now I know what the guy is.
I understand that he's got the dudes building him up and thinking he's hot shit or whatever, but when you see Garcia lose to Tanahashi earlier in the night, and really all you have to go off of why you think you're the guy is because you beat Garcia a couple times, what makes you think he was going to beat fucking Shibata?
Oh, I've got BCC training me, and I've won some other. I mean, it's not like that was his first title defense or anything. He's won some other title defenses. So yeah, I mean, it's literally just got too in his own head and got too full of himself and got kicked right the fuck down. I love it.
Speaking of BCC getting some dubs, Claudio did get the dub over Eddie Kingston, which we both picked. I thought this match was a slow starting match, but the last 5 minutes, dude, were so good. This match picked up so good.
Wrench off the fucking apron onto the floor.
Dude, they had me thinking, like, this legit had me thinking Eddie Kingston was going to win a couple times at the end. They actually had some false finishes that got me. You had no inkling that Eddie was ever in control enough to win this match. You thought Claudio was winning 100% the entire time.
I did appreciate a lot of the striking stuff, just knowing that they're selling the story like It's not a fucking wrestling match. I don't like this guy. I'm going to slap the shit out of him. We're going to slap the shit out of each other. And we're going to do that for a lot of the time in this match because fuck you and because fuck you. I think that if other people had tried to do the same match without the same story behind it, it wouldn't have worked as well. It would have come off like, oh, you're just trying to do Japanese style, whatever. But it really worked here because obviously you got the closed fist rules or whatever. But then also, just they don't fucking like each other. It came off really believable. The story was right. The finish was right. The finish is still kind of like I said on the prediction show. It's Kingston's better than he used to be, but the truth is that everybody's right about him. And until he acknowledges that everybody's right about him and puts in the effort, he can't have the championship arc. And the other thing I was kind of disappointed in is everybody knows Moxley's there, but he doesn't come out at the end to do to set up any kind of Kingston Moxley thing. They have Shibata do it, which is fine. But then another opportunity for Moxley to come out, whatever.
Yeah, I agree, because I thought the same thing before Shibata's music hit. I was like, oh shit, Moxley's going to come out and either tell him to back the fuck down or he's going to attack them just like Danielson did to Omega on Dynamite.
I think the way that they should have done that, I mean, we don't know where the Shibata stuff is going, obviously, but I think an even more interesting thing, if they wanted to do it, would have been Yuta and fucking Claudio are stalking him down. Moxley comes out and tells them to back the fuck up. Kingston gets mad at him and like shoves him or slaps him or whatever. And instead of Moxley fighting back, he just fucking leaves and lets them beat the shit out of him. And that sets up whatever you need to set up. I think that's enough of a storyline there.
And then you're saying Shibata could have came out after that to stop the beat
to
down,
set up whatever
set
tag they
team,
want. Yeah, but you have to address the Moxley problem at some point in this feud. And him being there and them not touching on it, I thought was pretty disappointing.
How long before there's two-part question. One, before they keep running this same story with Eddie where he's literally pushing everybody away and never winning in the big moments and where fans will actually turn on him, or do you think he's just so much of a likable dude on the mic and in person just because he comes off as so real that'll never happen? And two, when do you pull the trigger on this man finally getting a fucking title somewhere? Because we can't have the Jake the Snake shit where he just never wins the title. He's too fucking good. He's got to get a title.
This sounds fucked up, and I don't mean it in like a fat-shaming way or anything like that. But if they want to sell the story of Kingston coming in and fucking taking what he's owed, he has to get in shape, and it has to be noticeably different, and he has to come back after a pretty long, like 3-4 month hiatus of just like really dialing in his shit. He can go back to, letting loose with it a little bit after, but he needs to do the MJF fucking body transformation shit so that everybody knows that he's fucking serious this time. He is taking it seriously. Fuck you telling me that it's all potential. I'm going to hit my fucking potential. I'm going to come in, I'm going to dominate all of you. That's what it needs to be. I don't know if he's willing to do that. I don't know if he feels like he shouldn't have to or whatever, and I totally understand that if he doesn't feel comfortable with doing it, whatever. But the reason that the Iron Man match was so fucking credible and so good was that you saw the effort MJF put into prepping for it, and when he comes in, he looks like he can fucking go the 60 minutes. I think unless Kingston does that, everybody's going to keep falling on this potential storyline, and he's just not. You have to have some visual change in him. It can't just be a character change. You can't just show a little montage of him like getting on a fucking exercise bike once in a while or whatever and say, oh yeah, I'm a changed guy now I'm working really hard. It has to be like a visual difference for the story to work.
See, and I almost 9 out of 10 times I would agree with you, but right here I'm not going to. So I applaud the Cameron Grimes, the Jordan Graces, the Walters for what their fucking transformations, the MJFs, like you said, right? That's cool as fuck. But I do believe that it actually would hurt Kingston to get in shape and then do that, because then they would be like they were right the entire time about him. Whereas if he doesn't do that and he eventually does get that fucking big win the way that he did it, he could fucking then still say, hey, I did it my fucking way. I didn't. Yes, obviously he didn't do it the fast track way, but he's already said that he's okay with that in a lot of ways.
I think the argument that I would make to that is sometimes admitting other people are right about your character flaws is not bad. It's good character growth. It's good personal growth. If somebody is if you have a bunch of people constantly acknowledging the same things in you, for you to admit okay, maybe they're fucking right. Maybe I need to put in more effort at being better at this or trying harder at that or whatever. And actually doing that, that's something admirable. That's not like this whole like, I don't need to put in effort. I'm naturally good at the things that I'm good at and I can just come in and be a tough guy and whatever. The reason that it has a cap is just because it's hard to feel a lot of empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it, or like a lot of attachment to somebody who just refuses to change. And go into like some works of fiction or whatever for this. Like if you look at like you ever watch BoJack Horseman? BoJack Horseman as a show, the reason that it starts to fall off a little bit in some of the later seasons is because how long can you watch this same fucking character make the same shitty personal mistakes and not do anything to change himself or to better himself or whatever? And I'm not saying Kingston needs to go lose weight or whatever the fuck, like if he's not comfortable doing it, fine. But I think to tell the story in a compelling way, you have to have a character who has, and Kingston I think is a really good candidate for this, have a character who's got enough depth to be able to acknowledge when people are right about him in some aspects, make those changes, and then prove everyone wrong who says that he could never do it or that he was always just going to be untapped potential or whatever. Now it's like, okay, you know what? You're right. I'm tired of being fucking potential. I'm going to go meet my potential and I'm going to smash all of you.
And I wouldn't be opposed to that storyline. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think 100% that he needs that story either. I think if he just did it his way, the pop would be insane. I think people relate to him because he looks more like a regular dude. And I don't believe that his actual like wrestling moveset is going to benefit from him getting in shape. It's going to be the exact same fucking thing. So I don't think that's a big enough change.
I think that he could add things to his repertoire deliberately. He could probably do them now, don't get me wrong, but there is stuff that he doesn't do as part of his wrestling moveset that if he just added after the fact, that it would add to that story. Just like, okay, fine. Everybody, just fucking CM Punk and MJF and whoever else have been telling me for this long that, you know, I'm not meeting my potential. I'm going to go fucking meet it. I think that's a cool story.
It'd be an interesting story. I don't disagree with that part. I just don't think he needs it to get to the top, is what I'm saying. I think it would be cool as fuck if he got to the top without doing it. I think the pop would be bigger. I think the investment of the story, it's kind of like be that same wavelength of like Tommy Dreamer never getting over Raven, and then when he fucking finally beat him, the fucking people went fucking nuts. Same concept.
I'm not denying that he'd get a huge pop if he won a major title. I just think that's a more interesting story to tell with his character. I think that stubbornly doing the same thing the same way for 20 fucking years and finally winning one is not as compelling as recognizing a need for growth and then like following that need. I think he
could still show that change without a major body transformation if he just did it character-wise too, by the way, instead of pushing every fucking body away. And if you say you want to acknowledge that, hey, yeah, I haven't reached my full potential, I'm going to give it a shot, and then just do that character-wise on screen, and then get some victories on your belt, then maybe people would take you more seriously too.
Maybe even show him, yeah, like, you're right, it doesn't have to be a body change. I think that that would just be like a piece of visual storytelling that would work really well, but you're right, he doesn't have to do it. They could even do it with like character vignettes or fucking backstage segments or whatever, where he's like asking other people for advice. Because he's not a character that he's got that whole like, oh, I could do it by myself, I'm gonna be a stubborn piece of shit, like whatever, like I'm likable, but like I'm gonna be a stubborn fuck about literally everything. And if they did that character change in a way where now he's going to people who he genuinely believes are like better at him than something and asking them for advice and working that into his moveset and things like that, you're right, it doesn't need to be a visual change. I just think that would help with it from like a visual storytelling point of view. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff they could do here that I think would make him more credible when he finally does go over, instead of just doing the like, I'm a stubborn fuck and I finally won through brute force alone. I don't think that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. So that is our Ring of Honor Super Card of Honor review, and a little added bonus about Eddie Kingston going forward as well.
I love Eddie. Don't get me wrong. I love Eddie. I think we both love Eddie.
Same. I'm actually still upset at myself for giving Christina my Eddie Kingston shirt from the Pro Wrestling Crate. Still mad about it. I'm gonna have to go get my own. I'm gonna wait for him to come out with like a really fucking cool one to really piss her off. But anyway, that is our Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor review. Hope you guys liked the show. If you tell us what in the comments, actually, what you liked about the show, what you didn't like, if you agree with us, all those sorts of goodies, and we will reply to all of you guys. But yeah, hopefully you have a great rest of your weekend and week. We'll see you guys next Sunday live on the MonsterCast on Twitch. Make sure you fucking tune in, and also you can catch clips of our show on YouTube throughout the week from that show in case you missed it. So appreciate all the support so far since we've been going live on Twitch with the video stuff. It's been really cool. Gotten to meet a lot of cool people or whatever, and we're up to almost 50 subscribers, I think. We're up to 49 or 50, something like that. So at 100, we're going to try to do something cool. We'll see what we come up with, but we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Brand new YouTube channel started literally at the beginning of this year, so not too bad, not too bad. Anyway, biggest week in wrestling. Hope you've been enjoying it. Hope you continue to enjoy it. Deuces.